So there's a subject that I had very much on my mind when Bill called me, because we're living in synchronistic time. Maybe some of you have noticed. So I kept something that I've pondered for probably my whole life. So I just was holding this thought of, this exploration of our oneness in a world of duality. And then Bill calls and goes, he called me for a date. Not that kind of date. Can we get a date for you to come speak? And I was like, yes, we're in synchronistic time because I was holding that thought. And so I just want to greet you this morning. Namaste. You are another myself. And, this subject of oneness and unity that has been on my heart for so much of my life. I remember when I was about age 10, so that would have been 1965. So we're going to flash back a little bit. And I used to love to lay out in my backyard under the stars and just, on the ground, on my back, in the grass, just taking all that wonder in. I bet some of you did that too. And somehow I felt, very small, but yet very connected to all of that. And my dad had a book on his bookshelf called From Atoms to Stars. So this is 1965. And it was kind of a scientific book. It was obviously way beyond where I was at age 10. And I used to go get that book. I'd go look at the stars, and then I'd get that book off the bookshelf. And I couldn't read it because it had, geometries and equations and symbols and things that were way beyond me. But I would take my hand and I would just I would go through the pages, and I would just, I would look at the page and the symbols and the equations, and I'd just go through that book like that. And I didn't know what I was doing, but it just fascinated me that there was this infinite universe, and I felt connected somehow. And then at about age 16, I picked up a book by Aleister Crowley. And I guess if I had done that today, I would have been part of the goth scene or something. But, back then I was very interested in metaphysics from, an early age. I had someone give me an 8-ball and a Ouija board when I was 8 years old, and that just got me started. So very interested in metaphysics. And so so from that, I learned some of the I learned about alchemy. And I learned about the correspondences, like as above, so below, and as within, so without. And I learned about the reconciliation of the opposites, and that we carry both masculine and feminine within us, within the one, within myself. And that by learning to reconcile the opposites, that's how we could shift beyond this dimension, that this is how we could go to the next level, whatever that is, rise above. And so I was very fascinated by all of that. So that was age 16. And then at age 19, I found an East Indian guru, and I began to meditate. So then I went inside and learned, about that infinite universe from an interior place. And, just the beautiful techniques of meditation of going within and feeling connected and one with all that is. So it's been something that's been that I've pondered for a long time. And this principle of unity, Chuck and I were involved with the Unity Church for a long time. And, unity as a spiritual principle that holds oneness as the highest spiritual reality. And, that song you played was so perfect, because it's like, by what name shall we call it? Buddha or Krishna or God, goddess, all that is, Allah, by whatever name we call it. and all the songs that we have sung through through our decades, one love, one heart, let's get together and feel all right. We have any Bob Marley fans out there? Oh, good one. Right on. And and that the Christian song that we changed the words around to it a little bit, but what was that one? That our unity, one day our unity will be restored. I've got too many songs in my head, but it'll come back. So, we've sung the songs and we've called it all these names, and we've heard that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. And I believe that, but what does that mean? And I think it means that we're spiritualized matter. And I love the system of Chinese medicine that I teach, the way that it's described in that system, which is that when we're born and we take our first breath, spirit descends and marries with matter and takes up residence in the physical body. And then when we die, spirit leaves. So, we come from the one and we return to the one. And through the joining of these forces of creation, spirit and matter, masculine and feminine, we become spiritualized matter. And all matter is holy. And I think we've lost sight of that because we live in such a materialistic world. And the guru that I used to follow, he used to say, because he came over from India, and he said, in India, we have a big spiritual foot. And he says, in the West, you have a big material foot. But you can't know God until these two have been reconciled, because you need 2 feet to walk. And so everything in this physical world is an expression of the divine. So I am that which is holy and divine, and it is complete in me. And I want to say that again, just so that you can hear it and take it in for yourself. That which is holy and divine is complete in me. But how do we find our oneness in a world of duality? And this is where I have to give you a disclaimer. We don't. There is no finding oneness. How do we find something we are already one with? We are already one with all that is. There is nothing to seek from that which we already are. But we have work to do. And the work is to become aware, is to become conscious of how we are in relationship with all that is. And the way we do that is, we grow ourselves. We be the change that we want to see in the world. We make better choices because choices matter a lot. And what we do to one, we do to ourselves. And we're all made from the same stuff. So, that really helps me have a sense of just how one we actually are. If you think about, and I love this particular creation myth, the one where we were created from the explosion, the supernova explosion of dying stars. So all that stardust went out and created what we know now as the elementals. We have a periodic chart that tells us what all the raw materials are that everything is made of in our dimension. And so we're all made of the same stuff. We're all made of God's stuff. We're all made of stardust. And so how do we become aware of our oneness? And I think one of the ways that we can do that is by becoming more empowered. And one of the ways we can do that is by asking empowering questions. Why am I here? What are my gifts? What is my purpose? Because the answers to those questions bring answers that allows us to rise above. It elevates us. It increases our vibration, if you will. And disempowering questions like, why me? What's wrong? Who's to blame? Bring answers that result in excuses. And I've heard it said that you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. So another way that we can become aware of our oneness is through the divine acceptance of what is. And one of the ways that I do this is by connecting with Isis, because IS is what it is. And I love to see, and I'll just, if I need to come present and there's something difficult happening in my life and I just need to be present with it, I will stand as I see her standing behind me with her beautiful rainbow wings, just enfolding me. And I am in the divine acceptance of what is, because it is what it is. Another way is through the reconciliation of the opposites, which I mentioned earlier. And I think the most beautiful image for this is yin and yang, that beautiful image where the opposite is held in the other. And it's constantly moving, always flowing, one into the other, and one is contained within the other. So we have these reference points for how to be in that place of unity and oneness. And the other place, and that's why I'm really glad you read that about the forest today and the trees, is for me is, and I think for a lot of us, is by being in nature. Because by being in nature, we learn the natural laws. You know, when I'm out in nature and I have my feet on the earth and I'm walking, I'm much more aware of the natural laws, because the laws of nature are not the laws of man. And there are laws. We are one with and governed by natural law. There's law and order to the universe. The stars show up on time. The tides show up on time. The seasons show up on time. And I think one of the ways we can experience our oneness is by aligning with these natural laws. Everything has a law and follows a system. If we break the laws of harmony and health, then sickness results. But nature has the power to heal and transform. But in order to come into relationship with that, we need to learn to trust ourselves. We need to learn to trust ourselves in relationship with nature and trust our connection to it. We've become so disconnected. And I think by this disconnection that we've experienced, that we've gone away from that, which is our own true nature. So being in nature. And another way is I become aware of my oneness through the relationship with the divine, of which I am. And I'm so glad that Jean Logan is here today, because I'm going to quote her. She has this beautiful quote: I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence in all humanity. Thank you, Jean. That was such a beautiful quote. I want to say that again, just so you can take that in. I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence in all humanity. Thank you. So Science of Mind says the entirety of God is present at the point of view, now, in this moment. And for unity to exist, it must exist in its totality at every point simultaneously. Wow. Take that in. Woo. Native America says we all exist within the sacred hoop, and I stand at the center of my own universe. In the unified field, the one that says, I'll meet you there, we are one body, one mind. But we have this little thing called duality that exists between that we come from the one and we return to the one, but in between, what happens in between? We have all this duality. We live in a dimension governed by duality, yet we can still experience the oneness with all that is. And oneness is simple. Life is simple. We complicate it. Duality is a little messy. But duality is an illusion. And I say that because what is in the one is in the whole. And we know this now to be a truth that's been proven by science because of holograms. We know that the one is contained within the whole. But we also have this issue of our ideologies. And all cultures and tribes stand separate from the idea of oneness because it perpetuates the idea that if you are not one of us, then what are you? Possibly an enemy. And this is in collision with what the soul knows to be the truth. But we're raised that way. We're raised to think of ourselves as different from the other. And yes, we're different, but we're not separate. We all drink the same water. We all breathe the same air. This is a closed system. And I love this one. We are all always touching through our mother, the earth. We are never alone. It's our ideologies that separate us. And it's these beliefs and our separateness that cause war. And the story of good and evil is the oldest story in the world. So we can't talk about, this duality, the light and the dark and the good and the bad without talking about good and evil. And it is the battle between the spiritual and the material. So we talked about the spirit descending and marrying, with the body when we take that first breath. But the battle is between the spiritual and the material, between spirit and matter, the light and the dark, no difference. But the dark of yin and the light of yang are not separate. They are connected, constantly flowing one into the other. I want to highly recommend Carolyn Mace's work because obviously the subject of evil is a very big one. And she has a wonderful program she's running right now called The Courage to Confront Evil. And I just think it's brilliant. And she talks about the nature of evil in many ways, but I'm just going to share very briefly that the nature of evil is not being able to recognize what needs to be let go of in order to let it go. If we're not even aware of what needs to be let go, how can we let it go? We have to be able to recognize what is happening at this time. We are in a time of unprecedented transformation. And it's time to shift our traditions and our systems. They have served our evolution for a very long time. And we are becoming something wholly new. Holy. And if we understand the nature and the power of darkness, then its power can be offset by the light within us. Choices matter. Are we making disempowering choices that play into our wounds? Or empowering choices that play into our strengths? To know my light, I must know my darkness. I owe it to you to embrace my darkness. And many are choosing to stay in the darkness. It's familiar. It's a pattern. It becomes a pattern where we're searching for a way out, so that it becomes this game of searching that never ends. Searching for, I'm looking, I'm searching, one more workshop, maybe a different church, maybe another certification, maybe a different relationship. Maybe I need to be taking different supplements. Whatever it is, we're like in this perpetual searching mode. But there is no finding our way out, because we are already one with all that is, including our darkness. Embracing our darkness. So how do we become conscious of our oneness? Through love. Love transforms division, and it's the cohering force. And I just want to tell you a short little story about Marcel Vogel's experiments with plants. He was one of the first people that did these wonderful experiments with plants in different rooms and locations, and knowing that they could feel each other and feel emotions. But he did this one, and he's most well known for his work with crystals. And you might know him by a crystal that has what's called a Vogel cut, right? And so that's Marcel Vogel that developed that. And he used to work for IBM. So he was a top IBM scientist, but then he discovered things that led him into a more metaphysical journey. But he did this one experiment where he had fertilizer on one side, water on the other side, and a crystal oscillator in the middle. So he was oscillating the frequency of the fertilizer into the water without it ever touching the water. And crystals have the ability to, they store, they amplify, they convert and cohere subtle energies. So he was oscillating those frequencies. And what they found was that they could take that water that never touched the fertilizer and water the plants and get the results as if they had been fertilized. And he repeated this, and other scientists watched, and they confirmed that they witnessed this. But when they tried to repeat his results, they couldn't get the same results. And so they kept pondering, why would this be? And the discovery that was made is that love is the cohering force. It was who he was in his relationship with that crystal and the process that was happening there. And I just get goosebumps because I just think it's so powerful. And so love is the cohering force. It's the intention. It was the intention of the fertilizer that got put into the water. And we're made of water. So one of the other ways that we can stay connected is through speaking the language of love. Are we blessing or are we cursing? And this is something I've been thinking a lot lately, because it's really easy to get unhappy with the way things are going. Like, damn him, or, complaining about, the job that, whether it's whoever, if it's a person in political leadership, power, it's really easy to say, they're doing a terrible job. Why don't they do this? How can they be doing that? Remember those disempowering questions, right? Or are we blessing them? Because we're all here by divine appointment, no matter how bad it looks or how wrong it may seem to us, or dysfunctional. We're all here by divine appointment. What if we started blessing rather than cursing? And just to feel how that feels. Right? I mean, it feels so much better. I can just feel like this constriction of like, oh, it's like, why? And how? And it's just like, bless it, because there's a higher purpose and I don't know what it is, but I can do that. I can bless that, and it feels better for me, and it puts me in a better place to be able to love at a higher frequency. So I'm going to close with a song that's going to help bring all this together. And so in the Iroquois, In the Iroquois Peace Confederacy, they have a tradition called the 12 Cycles of Truth. And so the Iroquois Peace Confederacy tradition uses the 12 cycles of truth to shatter the illusion of separation and replace it with the truth of unity. And those 12 cycles are learning the truth, honoring the truth, accepting the truth, observing the truth, hearing the truth, presenting the truth, loving the truth, serving the truth, living the truth, working the truth, walking the truth, and being grateful for the truth. And a friend of mine wrote a song called Halowayan. She wrote it, her name is Annie, and she wrote it with Grandma Twyla Nitch. And it is Halowayan in Seneca means language of love. So it has 12 verses because it's these 12 lessons in truth that I just spoke. And I want you to sing it with me. So I've got all these handouts. Let's see, I've got mine because you're going to, would you mind handing that out? Yeah. So this is the part you'll sing, which is the chorus, Halowayan, Halowayan, and then the first line to each of the verses. And so we're going to sing these lessons of truth together to close today. Now, do we have anybody here that has good rhythm, that likes to play a rattle? Bill. Real simple. Just right out, you'll feel it.
Is that kind of it right there?
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, you'll feel it. You will feel it. I will. It's real simple. You can do the downbeat, you can do the upbeat, you can do the and. And then Chuck's gonna sing it too, so you can kind of follow his lips if you need to for where we're singing on this. So this is Halowayan, Lessons in Truth, the Language of Love. Halowayan, Halowayan, teach me how to learn. Each lesson light with beauty bright, beginning to discern. Halowayan, Halowayan, teach me how to praise. Great mysteries weigh, the teachings say, true guidance of today. Halowayan, Halowayan, teach me how to know. For winds that blow through spirits flow, caressing me to grow. Halowayan, Halowayan, teach me how to see through brand new eyes, your clear blue skies, a vision now that cries. Halowayan, Halowayan, teach me how to hear the stillness clear while free from fear, your drumming heart beats near. Teach me wayan, Halowayan, teach me how to say, gentle speak to all I greet, respecting others' ways. Halowayan, Halowayan, teach me how to love. Let warring cease, sweet dove of peace, and all good things increase. Halowayan, Halowayan, teach me how to serve. the east, the west, the north, the south, directing to go forth. Halo in, teach me how to breathe. Your gift of life, so precious now, and honor to receive. Halo in, teach me how to lead. Working, playing, planting, laying sacred seeds in me. Halo in, teach me how to share with those who care, in that I dare. Let truth be what I wear. Halo in, teach me how to be ever humble, grateful, knowing blessings come to me. Halo in, halo in now. Halo in, halo in home. And so it is. Thank you. Woo, we brought it in, didn't we? Yeah, we anchored it. Thank you for helping me anchor the truth today. Thank you.